I was freezing my ass off in a 42-floor boardroom in Chicago, staring at 6 investors who were mostly looking at their phones. The senior partner was a guy named Preston. He wore the kind of suit that didn't just look expensive. It looked like it was engineered in a lab to make whoever was sitting across from him feel small. It probably cost more than my first car. Preston had been holding my business plan for a full minute in silence. The only sound in the room was the low hum of the HVAC, pushing cold air onto the back of my neck. Finally, he set the packet down. He gave me this look. If you've ever pitched anything, or even just tried to get a bank loan when your account is overdrawn, you know the look. It's the face adults give a kid when they're just humoring them. The meeting was already over in his head. "This is cute," he said. He actually used the word cute. Genuinely, he continued. "Gas stations, a laundromat, a diner in Warren, Michigan." He gave a half smile, tapping the glossy paper. "We invest in scale here, in disruption, not hometown stuff." Somebody at the end of the table, a junior guy in a quarter-zip sweater, let out a quiet laugh. Just a quick exhale through his nose. Under the massive oak table, my hands were shaking. But 3 years earlier, those same hands were stained with cheap gas station coffee at 2 in the morning, scrubbing dried nacho cheese off a counter. I took a breath, opened my laptop, and decided right then I wasn't leaving the room without making him look at my screen. But to understand how I ended up in that room, you have to understand how I grew up. I was raised in Warren, Michigan. It's a blue-collar auto town. People work hard, they drink cheap beer, and they rely on their bodies to make a living. When I was 17, my dad was lifting a transmission housing at the plant, where he'd worked for 11 years. He'd done that same motion thousands of times, but this time, something in his lower back just gave out. 1 second he was fine, making a joke to a line worker. The next second he was on the concrete floor, staring up at the buzzing fluorescent lights, unable to feel his own legs. He never stood up the same way again. I remember the day he came home from the hospital. The house felt entirely different. My dad used to carry me on his shoulders at Little League games. Now, he needed my mom to help him get off the couch to use the bathroom. Workers' comp is a joke. It paid a fraction of his old salary. We burned through their meager savings in about 4 months. I didn't understand disability appeals or medical red tape, but I understood the silence at the dinner table. My dad kept apologizing to nobody in particular for things that weren't his fault. My mom kept aggressively refilling water glasses, just so she didn't have to look at the unpaid bills stacked on the counter. So, my mom started picking up double shifts at the Copper Skillet, a local diner 2 exits down. I-696. She'd work 10 to 12 hours a day on her feet, carrying heavy plates and dodging grease fryers. She'd come home so exhausted she couldn't talk, just running a hot bath to soak her swollen knees until the water went cold. I was a senior in high school. I got a job working the night shift at a Speedway gas station. It was a brutal winter, 15 below zero with the wind chill, the kind of cold that hurts your face the second you step outside. I worked 4, sometimes 5 nights a week. I'd ring up scratch-off tickets, stale taquitos, and 2 liters of Faygo for truckers who looked as tired as I felt. Between customers, I'd prop my laptop against the register and tried to teach myself calculus. One night in late January, I was counting down the drawer at 1:30 a.m. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from my mom. "Bank called again. We're 2 months behind on the mortgage. Don't worry about it, baby. Just go to class tomorrow and get some sleep." I just stared at the screen. I remember the exact smell of that moment: stale coffee, floor cleaner, and cheap cigarillos. That's the thing nobody tells you about being broke in America. It doesn't announce itself with some big dramatic movie scene. It's just this suffocating weight sitting underneath everything you do. It's doing mental math in the grocery store aisle, putting back a box of cereal because you're terrified your debit card will decline for a $38 charge. It's dreading the sound of the mail carrier because you know what the envelopes look like when they come from a collection agency. I didn't cry. You can't cry when a guy in a high-vis jacket is waiting to pay for his Red Bull. I just put my phone away and finished counting the ones. The next fall, I transferred to Michigan State University. I scraped together a patchwork of Pell Grants and a small local scholarship to cover my tuition, but it didn't cover rent, food, or gas for the hour and a half drive back to Warren to check on my parents. So I kept working. I stacked a 15-hour-a-week data entry job on top of a full course load. College was a massive culture shock. For the first time in my life, I was surrounded by casual, invisible wealth. There was a girl in my business strategy class named Madison. Madison drove a leased BMW her dad bought her for her 19th birthday. She went on ski trips to Aspen over breaks. We got paired together for a massive group project. One afternoon, we were working in the library, and she asked what my parents did. I told her my dad was on disability and my mom waited tables. Madison blinked, completely unbothered. "Oh my God, that's so real," she said, like I had just told her a fun piece of trivia. "My family's never had, like, a normal job." "Is that bad?" "I feel like that's bad." I just smiled tight and looked back at my notes. She wasn't malicious. She was just completely careless. She didn't have to think about people like me because the world was built for people like her. That same week, I hit my breaking point. My financial aid disbursement was delayed by the school due to a clerical error. My car's alternator started grinding, which meant I couldn't drive home. And I had just gotten off the phone with my mom, who had tried so hard to sound cheerful, but her voice cracked when she said she was picking up a third weekend shift. I hung up, sat down on the cheap carpet of my dorm room, and leaned my head back against the bed frame. I was so tired, bone deep, soul-crushing tired. I seriously considered dropping out right there. I figured I could move back to Warren, work full-time at the gas station, maybe get a second job at a warehouse, and just accept that college was for the Madisons of the world. But I pictured my dad sitting in his recliner, staring at the TV without watching it. I pictured my mom's knees. If I quit now, what was all this struggling even for? Why put them through the stress of watching me try to climb out, just to slide back down to the bottom? I didn't pack my bags. I opened my laptop. While Madison was busy planning her sorority formal, I had been noticing something during my drives home. The small businesses I grew up with were dying. Every month, a new handmade clothes sign would pop up in a window. The local hardware store on 9 Mile gone. The video rental place boarded up. The bakery 2 doors down from my mom's diner, the one that made these incredible cinnamon rolls, shut down after 30 years. These weren't bad businesses. Their food was great. Their services were honest. They were just dying because they were invisible. We were living in a world where if you didn't exist on a 6-inch glass screen, you didn't exist at all. They had no websites. Their Google pages showed them as permanently closed or pointed to the wrong address. They had zero social media presence. They couldn't compete with massive corporate chains that had millions of dollars to spend on digital ads. I started staying up until AM, not doing homework. I started watching free tutorials on basic coding, local SEO, website building, and digital marketing. I practiced by building fake sites for businesses that didn't exist. Then, I built a real one for my mom's diner. I did it for free. I spent 3 days running on caffeine pills and dining hall coffee. I built the copper skillet and actual functional online menu. I claimed and fixed their Google listings so people searching for breakfast near me would actually find them. I made a Facebook page and taught my mom how to take decent photos of the food on her phone. Within 6 weeks, their weekend brunch business jumped by 30%. I drove home one Sunday and walked into the diner. My mom pulled me behind the counter, grabbed both of my hands, and started crying. "You did this," she said, wiping her face with her apron. "Haley, the tips this month. I can pay the gas bill." "I did it for everybody, Mom," I told her. "This is just the start." I meant it. I went to a thrift store and bought a blazer that didn't quite fit my shoulders. I printed out before and after screenshots of the diner's online traffic and put them in a cheap plastic binder. Then, in the dead of winter, I started knocking on doors in Warren and Roseville. No appointments, no warm leads, just me, a 20-year-old girl walking into auto body shops and dry cleaners, asking for 5 minutes of the owner's time. It was humiliating. I got laughed out of rooms more times than I can count. A guy who owned a tire shop literally pointed at the door and said, "Sweetheart, I've been doing fine without the internet since before you were born." An auto repair guy looked at my laptop and asked if it could fix a busted transmission. I kept a note on my phone. Every time I got a no, I logged it. I hit 41 rejections. 41 people telling me I was wasting my time. That small town shops didn't need digital marketing. That I was a kid who didn't know how the real world worked. Number 42 was a woman named Rosa. She owned a family-run laundromat. She looked exhausted. When I showed her my binder, she didn't laugh. She just rubbed her temples and said, "Honey, I don't even know what half those words mean. SEO. Analytics. I just want people to know. Our coin machines are fixed, and we're open on Sundays. I can do that." I promised her. I charged her barely enough to cover my server costs. I optimized her search listing, set up a simple geo-targeted ad for people in a 3-mile radius searching for laundromats, and built a clean one-page site. Her foot traffic went up 15% in 2 months. Word of mouth is a powerful thing in blue-collar towns. People talk. Rosa told her brother, who owned a bakery. He hired me. He told his buddy who ran an HVAC company. He hired me. By the time I graduated college, I had 19 paying clients. I didn't take a corporate job like Madison did. I moved back home, worked out of a cheap converted storefront, and officially launched Redline Digital. I named it after the red line on a car's dashboard, the danger zone you aren't supposed to cross. I'd been living on empty my whole life. I was done being afraid of the red line. I built software that automated the heavy lifting for local SEO and customer retention, making it so cheap that mom and pop shops could actually afford it. I hired my first employee, then my second. 2 years after graduation, we had 53 clients across 3 states. We had real, provable quarter-over-quarter growth. And that's when a massive target got painted on my back. A regional marketing firm called Brightpath Media Solutions took notice of what we were doing. They were heavily funded, had a massive sales team, and they wanted our market share. They started calling my clients directly. They offered rock-bottom introductory pricing. They promised the same results I was giving, but at half the price for the first year. Backed by a slick corporate machine. Rosa called me one night. She sounded embarrassed. "Haley, I'm so sorry," she said quietly. "They're offering to cut my marketing bill in half. I don't want to leave you. You built us up. But with inflation, my water bills at the laundromat are killing me. I have a business to run." I sat at my kitchen table for an hour after we hung up. I managed to talk Rosa and a few others into staying, leaning heavily on the trust I'd spent years building. But the writing was on the wall. Brightpath was going to bleed me dry. I couldn't out-discount a giant corporation forever. I needed capital to scale my software, hire a real sales team, and lock down my market before they swallowed me whole. Which brings me back to the cold boardroom on the 42nd floor in Chicago. I had flown in the night before on a budget airline and stayed at a Red Roof Inn off the highway. I was wearing the exact same thrift store blazer I'd worn to cold call businesses, though I'd finally paid $40 to get the shoulders tailored. Preston Vance had just called my life's work cute hometown stuff. When the guy at the end of the table chuckled, a hot spike of adrenaline hit my chest. I remembered the tire shop guy laughing at me. I remembered Madison in the library. I stopped shaking. "Before you say no," I said, my voice completely steady. "Can I show you one number?" Preston sighed, leaning back in his leather chair. "Fine. One number." I turned my laptop screen around so the whole table could see it. "Client retention rate," I said. 94%. Over for years. The room went dead silent. "Do you know what the average early-stage SaaS company's retention rate is, Mr. Vance?" I asked. I didn't wait for him to answer. "It's 68% on a good year. Brightpath has been trying to poach my book of business for 6 months. They are offering a 50% discount, and my clients are staying anyway." I clicked to the next slide. "I'm not asking you to bet on hometown stuff," I said, looking Preston dead in the eyes. "I'm asking you to look at the only metric that actually matters in this industry: loyalty. My customer acquisition cost is a third of the industry average because my clients trust me enough to send their friends to me for free." Preston stopped leaning back. He sat up, pulled his glasses off, and squinted at my screen. "Where did you learn to build cohort retention models like this?" he asked, his tone entirely different. No more humoring the kid. "YouTube," I told him, at 2 in the morning, behind a gas station register in Warren, Michigan. Nobody was laughing anymore. Preston respected the numbers. He really did. We talked for another 40 minutes. But in the end, he still passed. He never said it out loud, but I knew why. I didn't fit the pattern. I didn't go to Stanford. I didn't speak in Silicon Valley buzzwords. I was a gritty kid from a Rust Belt town who built a business for plumbers and bakers. He just couldn't see the unicorn potential. I flew home that night feeling completely hollowed out. I sat in the window seat, pressing my forehead against the cold glass, watching the grid of Chicago shrink into the dark. I thought I had failed. I thought Bright Path was going to win, and I'd be back to square one. But here is the thing about boardrooms. You never know who is actually listening. There was a junior associate in that room who hadn't said a single word during my entire pitch. Her name was Renata. She grew up working the counter at her family's dry cleaning business in Cicero, Illinois. She knew exactly what I was talking about when I described the fear of a broken neon sign or a missed utility payment. She couldn't stop thinking about my 94% retention rate. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was Renata. She told me she was in the process of leaving Preston's firm. She was starting her own boutique fund, specifically designed to back founders that traditional VCs had a habit of overlooking. She wanted Redline Digital to be her very first anchor investment. We went through weeks of brutal due diligence. She audited every piece of code, called my clients, and stress tested my financial models. A month later, Redline Digital closed a $4.2 million seed round. Everything changed overnight. With real money behind us, we didn't just defend our turf. We went on the offensive. We expanded our software platform, launched a massive targeted ad campaign, and hired a ruthless sales team. BrightPath Media Solutions quietly stopped calling my clients. It turns out it's incredibly hard to undercut a company that has millions in the bank and customers who refuse to leave. Within a year, Redline scaled from 53 clients to over 1,100 across 19 states. We became the go-to digital engine for hardware stores, family diners, laundromats, and independent auto shops nationwide. I hired 40 new people that year alone. I put our new headquarters right in the middle of Warren. A few of the people I hired as regional account managers were the exact same shop owners who had laughed me out of their stores 5 years earlier. People are a lot more open-minded when you hand them a generous salary plus commission. As for Madison, I never spoke to her again. I looked her up on LinkedIn once. She was still bouncing between vague consulting roles her dad got for her. Last Thanksgiving, I woke up early and drove to my parents' house. It was the same house I grew up in. The roof still leaked in heavy rain, and the kitchen linoleum was peeling near the fridge. My dad was leaning heavily against the counter, waiting for the coffee to brew. My mom was chopping celery for the stuffing. I walked in and set a manila envelope on the kitchen island. "What's this?" my mom asked, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Open it." She opened the flap. Inside were two things. The first was a piece of paper from the bank. It was their mortgage statement, stamped with heavy black ink, paid in full. The second was a set of brass keys with a small blue tag. My mom stared at them. She looked up at me entirely confused. "Haley, what are these for?" "They're for the house 3 streets over," I said. "The ranch-style one with the big oak tree. It's a single level, Dad. No stairs." My mom dropped the dish towel. Her hands started shaking. It was the exact same shake my hands used to do under boardroom tables. "Haley," she choked out, tears instantly spilling over her eyelashes. "You didn't have to do this. We're fine. You didn't have to." I walked over and wrapped my arms around her. "Yeah, Mom," I said into her shoulder. "I did." My dad didn't say a word. He just hobbled over, wrapped his massive, calloused arms around both of us, and buried his face in my hair. We stood there in that cramped kitchen for a long time. And for the first time in 5 years, nobody in that house was doing math in their head to survive.